First of all, this is the first, and it's a great place to start for this because it's the drive is the basis for all of the other Google applications. It's probably not the most exciting to look at because really what we're just looking at is a bunch of files and folders. But it's a great place to start, and there are a lot of nuances to it that are worth taking a look at. This is from a introductory beginner level. So if this is, if you're fairly experienced with this, you might know a lot of this stuff. But for those of you that are new, this is a great place to start. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to go through a whole like PowerPoint, like a presentation here. I'm actually going to just use this first slide. The presentation that you're going to see, let me scroll through it quickly, has little animations in it based on all the things that I'll be showing you. So if you need to refer to this later, with some of the things that you may want to practice or refresh your memory on, I'm going to give you this link at the end of the webinar in the chat so that you can get to this and you can get to this presentation anytime you want. But I'm going to go back to the very first slide and I'm going to just tell you about what Drive actually is. Faisal, is it possible to mute the mics other than mine because I'm getting a echo? That somebody's got like it's coming through their speakers or something. I don't know if that'll work. You can work on that. Okay, now here we go. You can. This echo is really distracting. The documents folder. I'm sorry. The Drive is very much like your documents folder on your computer. Okay, so all it really is a repository for files, and they don't necessarily have to be just Google files. They can be any kind of file, really. The only ones that will actually work and open up in the Google system, of course, in the Chrome browser will be the Google ones, but you can put anything on there. If you're teachers and you use smartboards and you want to put a smartboard notebook file up there, it won't open up there, but you can put it up there. And if you want to get to it from another classroom or whatever, you can get to it anytime you want. So it's really just a place to store files. And the only difference is you can access your content from anywhere. You can share your documents with other people, which is a big reason that people are using it. You can make your documents public. You can embed your documents into Google Sites, and you can actually share entire folders, which can really be a great place to share resources with students or on any types of projects you're working on with colleagues. So what I'm going to do is get out of this presentation for right now, and I'm going to move on to Google Drive itself and start taking a look at it. Yours might look a lot different, particularly if you're real new to it, because what you're looking at is a lot of files that I've been accumulating over time. Okay, now I'm just going to take you on a quick tour of what all this stuff is. Right from the beginning, I want to show you this viewing option, which is over here. If you can follow my mouse, over here on the right is the grid view. You see that? If I click that, that turns that into just what the name implies, a grid view, which gives me more of a thumbnail view of my files. This may be the view you have on yours right now, which maybe you might be wondering why yours isn't matching, and that could be why. I tend to work from the list view more because I have a lot of stuff, and it's a lot easier for me to see everything that's in there. On the left are these various different icons, and let me explain overall what some of them are. Some of them I skip until later because some of them might make more sense as we're doing more things. You'll see this My Drive icon, and if I click to expand that, what you're seeing under here are all the folders that I've made over time. Okay, so you can actually work with folders in the same way you do on your own computer. You can organize things into folders. Many Google purists will tell you not to even bother with folders because the searching capabilities are so good that you don't really need them. However, I do feel more comforted sometimes keeping things grouped together just for my own mental state. Some of you, if you're on school networks or work networks, will have a second icon here called Team Drives. And what this is when you create this, you can actually invite people for your Google to join in on a drive, which basically looks just like this. Well, here I can click on it. It looks just like this, except only people, the members, can go. If you can see, I clicked on my team drive. I've got 4 members. That's more of an advanced thing to talk about in more of a network specific school situation, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Below that, you'll see this thing that says shared with me, which what this is basically any file that any other Google user has shared with me from their own drives. So anytime somebody has shared a file with you and you need to look for it, you don't know where to find it, it's always in shared with me. And there's some little tricks and things that you can do with things that are in there that we'll take a look at as time goes on. Another one, this one is one you want to befriend early in your stages. The recent file, because this is every recently made file. And trust me, when I'm working up here a lot, I need this a lot of times to find something I'm working on because things tend to get buried. So I hit this recent thing a lot, particularly if it's something that maybe I worked on yesterday or the day before and I need to get back to it quickly. As you can see, when you look in here, you can see that they're classified. Look, I've got today at the top, and as I scroll slowly down, you'll see earlier this week and earlier this month, and they keep on getting further away until eventually they're just no longer included in here. After that, you're going to see something called starred. And this is because Google gives us the ability to take specific files that we find to be important, and we can just very quickly tag them with a star. This could be anything you want it to be. Could be just something you feel like is something important that you want to pay attention to as you're working, or something that you always want to keep coming back to, or whatever. And we might as well talk about trash. If I click on trash, you'll see that there's a lot of stuff in here. This is because when I delete a file, which is something I'll show you as we get into our file management, when I delete a file, it will stay in the trash for 30 days. Now, the only time that will change is if you're using this from a school perspective and your system administrator has set that number of days to a different number of days. That can be set in the administrative settings. But most of the time, people leave it at 30 days. After 30 days, it goes away. The good news is, if you delete something and you feel like you need it back, chances are, if you need it back within 30 days, you can get it back. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the drive, and I'm going to show you a couple more options. By the way, right before this webinar started, my allergy just started to suddenly bother me. So I apologize for that, but I'm bearing with it. Now, over here is, if I click on the, I want to focus now. We were on the left, and now I want to go over here to the right, and you'll see this little info thing right here. See this little I? It's the international symbol for info. If I click that, you'll see that I have a choice of details or activity. Details only works if you have a specific file selected. But if I click on activity, look at this. This shows me everything I've done recently. It's kind of like spying on me, really. But this is actually can be very handy if you need to go back and find a document you've been working on or something like that. If I go to details, nothing's showing. But now if I click onto a folder, and I'm going to, let me find one, a specific folder, you're going to see that if I go to activity now, look at this. It's not only showing stuff I've done, but I actually have this folder shared with my wife, and some of her activity is showing in here because I have this shared. So if you share a folder or files with people, you can see what activity they have done with that particular file or folder. By the way, the reason I know this folder is shared is if you look over here where my mouse is, see I'm kind of circling it right here, you'll see that there's a little picture of a person on there. That's saying that folder has been shared. and I'll get into the sharing details as we go along. Right now, we're just still kind of looking at the interface. Okay. Now, up here at the very top is the Google Apps menu. And you'll see this in all of the Google applications. As long as you're logged into the Chrome browser and you're in a Google, anything in Google, you will see this. And this is really the thing that allows you to navigate around to the rest of all the Google tools. And when you click it, you pretty much just get this initial set of icons. Now, if I click on more, I get more icons. Okay, but now one thing that most people don't know is that if there are icons that you want to see more often, you actually have the ability to change those. For instance, I'm a big fan of Google Keep. And if I wanted to move that up into my main area, I can click and move that. Let me do, let's see, I'll put my my plus up there as well. So now when I open that up, I have those in my original plan. So these can just be dragged around. I'm just simply clicking and dragging. These ones at the very bottom, don't try to drag those because they don't work. Those pretty much stay at the bottom. They do for me anyway. It seems like I've seen other people be able to move those, and I'm not sure if I'm locked out by the Stockton settings or whatever. But that's how that works. Okay, so there's also a little help screen up here if you need it. I've never actually had to use it. And then we have this little menu. By the way, you see this menu with the vertical dots? I've always wondered what the name of those menus were. And I've actually come up to the name that people are starting to call this menu with these vertical ellipses is the kebab menu, because it looks like a kebab, which goes nicely with the hamburger menu, which is, of course, that other type of menu that expands when you use it. So that's just a little footnote for you. But if I click on this gives me some various different things that I can apply to whatever is selected. And it actually also gives me almost the exact same options that I get if I scroll and I right-click on a file or something like that. It's just another option that gets me there. Okay. Now, with regard to the files, you'll see that the searching capabilities, remember, Google started with searching. So this is what they do, and this is what they do best. And it doesn't stop when you get to Google Drive. And the way the searches work in here is if I type in a keyword for a search, it's going to return, I'll show you, hold on. It's going to return everything that has that word in it in any way, shape, or form. Okay. In some of these, the word blues is actually in the title, but in some, look at this, musical fundamentals. There's no blues in that title. That's because there's blues inside of the document. Okay, if it'll search within documents. I'm trying, and here's what's really cool. It will also search within PDF files, which sometimes are not searchable. Now, remember, PDF isn't a native document to what Google does, but you can keep them on your Google Drive, and you can view them, which also I will get to later on as we go along. But I just want to show you how the searching works. So it's a very intuitive and very complete search. And when you go to type something in, oftentimes the most relevant ones appear within the drop-down menu. But if you don't, if you want to find more, oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to open that. If you want to find more, you can just simply hit the return key or the enter key, depending on what type of system you're using, and it will return everything that has that keyword related to it. In addition to that, most people never click on this arrow, okay? But this gets really deep, okay? What this is an advanced search that Google gives you in order for you to locate things on your drive. So if I know that I want a specific type of file, and it has a specific owner, okay, I'm going to do owned by me because that'll be a lot easier for me to do a location anywhere, or if you click on this, I can click, see this little menu that opens to see this My Drive. I can open this, and there are all of my different folders. So if I wanted it to look for it within a specific folder, I could. I'm not going to select that. You can also specify date modified, item name has the word. Okay, so this is just a pure advanced search that will really fine tune a search for you, particularly if you're getting maybe too many results on a search that you're looking for a specific document. And it can be sometimes daunting to find a document when you actually are looking for it. Another thing that helps you with being able to locate documents is up here in the in here, see this thing that says like last modified? I can switch that. Now I want to remove my search results and just go to plain old, plain old Drive here, and just kind of show you. See, so I'm able to do last modified or relevant. So I'm still in my search. Let me just go back to straight up Drive here. And I got to that. Now look at this. Another thing this has is, see this little top panel? This is called Quick Access, and this was just recently added to the Google Drive. And basically what it does is just puts the last few things you might have been working on recently, just kind of pops them up to the top in a how can I say it, a thumbnail view, so that you can get to things kind of quickly. And you'll see that change as I open and close things today as I'm moving on. Okay, so now if I wanted to sort my files by name, I can click on this arrow and it will do either the alphabet descending or ascending alphabetically. And it just switches to that. It doesn't let me do much by owner, but it does let me change here by modified or last modified by me. So I can get the most recent things at the very top. Okay. And that's basically it. Now, when it comes to, I want to start talking a little bit about files. And when I scroll through the Google Drive, you'll see two different types of icons, or actually several types of icons. One is very clearly a folder icon. And then as I go down, you'll see all these various different colored icons. And all of those represent file types of different types of files. The little yellow ones will be Google Slides, which is kind of like a PowerPoint thing. These things with the little red ones are from Google Drawings, which allows for, a lot of people don't use Google Drawings enough. It's a good one. These purple ones are for Google Forms. These blue ones are for Google Sites. And it's actually important to mention this one. This one that I have called Entitled Document is for Google Docs, which would be, like your word processing. And down here, these green ones are for Google Sheets, which is sort of like an Excel type of file. Okay, so those are files that I already have. How do I create those? Well, if you go up to the new icon on the far top left corner, these are my options, and I'm going to get into some of these. As you can see, I can make a folder. That's great for organizing. I'm going to show you how to do that. And we're also going to talk, one of the most valuable things that we're going to get out of today is uploading your existing files, particularly maybe files that you created in Microsoft Office and you would like to convert and start using up here, or maybe, excuse me, have more access to up here. We'll talk about getting those in there. Now here's Google Docs. So if I wanted to create a Google Doc, very simple. I can just click here and I have a choice of blank document or template. I'll get deeper into that when we actually do Google Docs in another webinar, but I'll just do one quickly right now, a blank one. And there's only one reason I'm actually showing you this. Number one, to get you interested in taking Google Docs, which is coming up next. But number two is notice what happens when a document opens. It actually makes another tab on what you have, on the thing you've created. So look at this. Here's my doc, my new one that's empty, and I can start typing if I like. But over here on the left tab, it's my drive is still open. It will always remain open. No matter how many new things I make, it will always make new tabs. And if you ever need to come back to your drive, just look for that drive tab at the top of your browser. Now, I'm going to click on new, and if I wanted to make sheets, obviously it's going to make a sheet, right? If I want to make slides, obviously it's going to make a slide. But here's the other thing. There's a lot of other things that a lot of people don't see. And I'm amazed at how many schools I've visited where not everybody is actually seeing that these things exist. And if you go to more, you'll see I can do forms from here. I can do drawings from here. I can do my Google Maps, which is kind of an interesting place to work. You can do a Google site from here, a Google website, very easy to make. And then after that are some things some of you might not have. These are things that I've added on to augment the capability of my Google Drive. And that's another thing I'm going to talk to you about before the end of the hour today. So I'll get onto how those work shortly. So that's creating a file. The next thing is if I have a file, and let's say, remember I told you about this area over here, starred? Let's say that I want to put something in there. I want to star something, okay? So I'm going to go back to my drive, and I'm going to find something I want to star. Now, it doesn't have to be anything I really want to star. I just want to do it for the purpose of this webinar. So see this Google Calendars agenda? That's important to me. I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to click Add Star, okay? So now it has a little star within, but more importantly, if I click over here to starred, you'll see that it appears over here, which kind of limits those things to just your important documents. Once I've done that, if I no longer think it's star worthy, I can remove the star from it, although I can't find it. Wait a minute, let me go back here. And if I want to right click on there, see, I can remove star, and it will take it off of there. So that's how you can make things starred or unstarred. Now, let's talk about folders. So if I go to new, I know I move quickly because I'm trying to put a lot of information into an hour, but I'll answer your questions at the end. If I click on folder, this allows me to make a new folder, and you can call the folder anything you want. Okay, I'll just call this web for webinar, and I'll hit create. Now, they do appear alphabetically, so I'm not going to see it right away. If I want to add, oh, there it is right up here. If I want to add something to this, the easiest way to get files into a folder, there are a couple ways. The easiest way is to have this panel expanded on the left, okay? And what I like to do is find something. So I'm not going to be real picky about what I put in here. I'm going to just take, let's see here, something kind of useless and put it in here. And so you can just drag these. This is just a survey I took. Nothing important there. You could just drag those into that folder. Okay. Now, if I open up the folder, I should see what I've dragged in there. There's another way to do it. If you're in one of the, let me go back to my drive, and I'm going to open a file. You can do this from the file level. Okay. This is, by the way, the agenda for today's workshop. And if I go up here into my drive, you'll see at the top I have a title. Now I'll go into depth with this in the Google Drive, in the Google Docs webinar. But what I want to show you is this folder. I can open this, and if I want to put something into a specific folder, I can locate it right from here and just click it and just hit move, and we'll put it in there. Okay, one more thing regarding placement of files in folders is this. If I go to the actual folder itself and click in there, now, if I make a new document, I'll do a slide since you already saw me do a doc. If I make a new document, and I'll click in here and I'll call this webinar. It's going to automatically, I'm just going to close this. By the way, when you are working in Google, you close something, it automatically saves it no matter what. It's impossible not to have it saved. Notice it, but notice because I was in that folder when I made that document, it opens up. Well, it doesn't open, but it places it right in the folder that I'm in, and that's a great way to work if if you need to keep things organized or you're working on a project and you want to put everything into one spot. Okay. Now, this is the big thing right here. This next thing, this is something everybody wants to know, and it's real important. I'm going to go to the new thing again. Actually, let me put this outside. I want to get out of my folder and just in the root of my drive, and I'm going to go to new, and you'll see these two icons: file upload and folder upload. If I go to file upload, I can let me just go to my desktop here. If I go into a folder now, this is navigating. I'm using a Mac, so it's bringing up a Mac interface. But if you were using a PC, it would be a good old friendly PC user interface you'd be looking at. And if I want to upload one file, this is a PDF. You can click open, and down here at the bottom right, it'll show me the status of the upload. It's showing that it's uploaded, and there it is, very nicely uploaded, and that's perfect. Now, but even better than that is this, the folder upload. Okay, if I do the folder upload, I can just pick a folder, and everything in that folder, including the folder itself with the name of the folder, will go up to Google Drive. Now, I'm going to do that, and that might take a few seconds. I'm going to click upload, and it's showing. Now, none of these files are gigantic. I purposely put some small files away so that this would go quickly. And you'll see that it came up, and now I have a folder on my drive called My Old Office Stuff. So let me show you what's in there. I deliberately put an Excel document, a Word document, a PDF document, a PowerPoint file, and a PDF document to show you how these things work when we get them into Google Drive. Okay. Now, see this thing that says DS Store? That's some file thing that just gets made automatically. This is a perfect opportunity to show you how to delete a file. If I right click on it, I can just hit remove, get rid of that thing. Okay. So now let's look at these files and how they behave. These are not native to Google Drive. These are Word documents. Okay. So, or they're not all Word documents, but the one I'm going to open is a Word document. Now this one here, the Stax Records Guide, I'm going to open this up and I want to show you what it looks like. What I'm looking at is I'm looking at this in preview mode, okay? And preview means I can read it, but I can't do anything to it, okay? But at the top of that, you'll see this little icon that says open with. And if I convert it to a Google Doc, it'll take a second. Google Docs is now reading it.
That's great.
It's made that into a beautiful Google document. That means that I can delete, I can edit, I can do anything I want to this. I'm going to unedit that because I don't want that in there. But that will just do that for you. So that's the main thing. So anytime you open one of these non-native documents, oh, I closed my drive. Hold on. Oh, nice thing for you to know. Anytime you need to get to anything Google, just type in the name of the application .google.com. So if you want to go to Docs, you do docs.google.com. In my case, I'm doing drive.google.com. And so let me do the PowerPoint one. Like here's a PowerPoint. So if I click it, it's showing me preview mode. You'll know you're in preview mode because it comes in with this blackened screen behind it. And this is just a quick short one. But if I go to open with, now that's going to open with Google Slides. So now it's going to convert it to a Google slideshow, which actually makes it very easy to put on the web if you want to do that. So that's how the conversion works. But I want to show you something, a nuance about conversion that a lot of people don't know. Now, most of you using this for school purposes, might not care about this because when you have Google Apps for School, you pretty much have unlimited storage. But if you're using this on your own Google account, you only get a certain amount you only get 500 gigabytes of storage space. And I've never filled that up, but it could get filled up. But let me show you something. I'm going to go to my info and I'm going to go to details. Now look at the Word document that I uploaded. Look at over here on the right where my mouse is. You see that the size is 66 kilobytes, okay? I want to show you the same document that's been converted to a Google document. This is the exact same document, exact same content, and look at its storage, 0 bytes. That's because anything native to Google does not count against you in terms of storage space. You can store to your heart's content anything you want. You can create as many documents as you want up here, and it does not count against you for space. The only thing that will count against you for space are the non-native Google documents that you put up here. Photos, videos, PDF files, and say Office documents and things like that. For instance, look, here's my PDF file. That is 50K, okay? If I wanted to, by the way, you can also convert. This is really a nice feature. I'm going to right click on this, and if I go to open with and Google Docs, this makes you able to get into a PDF file and actually edit the content of that file. Okay, it's now a Google Doc, and it didn't come in as cleanly as I might have liked, but it saves me from having to retype the text. And of course, you could go back in and fix some of these. Some of this could have been done. Some of the problems for this could have been the way the original document was created. So, who knows what the problems may have been. And if I wanted to, look at this, I could go to File and Download, where Download As, and I could make it another PDF again. I could just redo it as a PDF if I wanted. So Google will open up PDFs. Some open better than others, depending on the content of them. Ones with a lot of graphics and things like that in them tend to it tends to be a little hit or miss as to how that works. But that's the general idea. Now, with that in mind, really, I think if you're new to Google Drive, and you're taking this because you're new to Google Drive, I would say maybe the first thing you want to do is just start uploading up, your usable documents that you want to hold on to, and maybe start opening them in Google Drive and using them that way. That may be a great place to start, because then you'll start accumulating files up here. You know what? I just realized that all this time I had my camera off. Okay, here I am, and Faisal wanted me to be on, so there I am. That's just for fun. Now, I want to talk about this folder. What I want to do with this folder, well, actually, wait, let me go inside the folder first. I'm going to take this one file, this elements thing here, and I'm going to right click on it. And this is big, especially if you're new to Google, because what we're going to do here is going to work the same in every Google application everywhere on the planet. Okay, and this is the sharing concepts. If I go to share, it gives me this ability to put in email addresses of people I want to share with. So if I wanted to share this with myself, actually, that's not a good person to share with because that's already me. I'll share with my other Gmail account. This will now allow me to send an email to the person, which is me, that I'm sharing this with me. Now, in addition to that, I also get to have the capabilities of, do I want the person I'm sharing with to be able to edit? That's full capabilities. Or do I want them just to be able to put in comments? We'll look at comments when we get to other types of documents. Or just let them view it. Maybe just let them view. And that's it. Okay, all they can do is see it. Okay, so I have that option here. And I can continue to add people in here as much as I want. You can put in email addresses, and the document will be shared. Now, you're going to see a little bit of an error message when I send this, because I'm using the Google system from Stockton. And at this point, what I'm about to do is it wants to utilize my Gmail. Stockton does not use Gmail, so I'm going to get a little bit of an error, but it's still going to work. So I'm going to hit send, and you'll see, I'm sharing this, and then you see that little error. I don't care about that error because it's already working. But there's another level of sharing. If I go up here to get shareable link on the right, it's going to open up this window. And the first thing it's going to do is, especially if you're using a school-based Google application, is it's going to say anyone within your school domain can view it. It can give you that option, okay? But it gets deeper. If I go in here, if I click on more, I can do, look at this, I can do anyone with the link, or even more public. It's completely public on the web. This means anybody anywhere can get to this document if I want them to do that. Well, this is really nice if you have something that you want to share with people. You don't want to have to give everybody, email everybody a document or something like that. They can just all see it. It could be something that a whole group of people need to see, or maybe a whole community of people need to see if you're like reaching out to the parents or whatever. So that can be good. I really like the second one, the second option, anyone with the link. That means that anybody who has the link to it can get it. And I'll show you where to get that link in a minute, can get to it, but it doesn't come up publicly in a search or something. The chances of your file coming up on a search are probably not that good anyway, but I just like this one. I find it to be a little more, slightly more private in a public sort of way. And then, of course, as you go down, it gets more and more specific to sharing with more specific individuals. So I'll hit save. And now if I want to get the link here within this thing anytime, let me close this out. And I want to show, I'm going to open it back up to show you how to get the link. Okay, I can't seem to close it out. Okay. If I go to my sharing options up here, see get shareable link. Well, it's already showing because it's shared right there. See that? That is the link to this file. So if I copy this link, I'm just hitting copy on here, and I'm going to go up into my browser tab and paste it. There it is. It's up there. That's my shared file. So it's a great way to work. Now, in addition to that, I'm keeping my eye on the clock. We're doing well. I can go into here and I can share this entire folder if I want. That is wonderful. Okay, at the beginning of every semester, I just create a shared folder for my class. They all know where it is after a while. And anything I do for the class, I just throw it in that folder and they can easily get to it. So the way you do that is really the same way you do it with a document. The only difference is you're doing it with a folder. So if I go to share, I can put in, I'm not going to do it with names. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it public. So remember, to do that, you have to go up here to get shareable link. And I'm going to make it so that anyone with the link can get to this folder, and hit save. And that is now accessible to everyone. You'll see the little person right here is on it. So that's shareable. Now, here's what happens. Any new document I put into that folder will be shared with whoever that folder is shared with. So always be aware of that. Google gives you a little warning when you go to do it, but that's something to keep in mind. And so this basically becomes, if you've ever used things like Dropbox or anything like that, this becomes Dropbox now. You don't need Dropbox anymore. You can do it right here, because this really does pretty much the same thing when you share a folder with somebody. So, I mean, I could send this link to all of you, and you could get in to any one of these documents and get to them if you like. And as I know you're all going to take the future workshops, so that when we go to Google Sites, I'll show you how you can embed a folder like this right into a Google site and make actually like a file repository right on a web page. And that sounds real complicated, but you would not believe how actually how simple it really is. So let me explain a little bit of the hierarchy or the nuances of shared documents. Whatever document you put in a shared folder is shared with everybody who that folder is shared with. Additionally, if I have a document that's shared with somebody who that folder is not shared with, it's also shared with them, but the rest of the folder is not shared with them. Now that sounds a little kind of confusing. I have it kind of outlined in the in this slide on the presentation that I shared with you earlier. You see shared folders, what you need to know, and you'll see that it explains the whole thing, and it's just something to kind of keep in mind. All right, just a couple other little things before I open up for questions. Let me go back to my drive. You'll see other things that can go up here are things like videos and audio files and whatnot, and they are viewable from up here. Let me see here. Okay, here's a clip. I don't even know what this is. Oh, yeah, this is actually something I use for a presentation in one of Faisal's classes. And I'm not going to play the whole thing. I just want to show you that when you have a video file, it will play in the preview mode right in there. All I did was click on it. So if you have video files, a lot of people who are using like Discovery Ed and things like that, who are archiving their files, love to be able to share them with students in Google Drive. And a lot of times, if you just download them and upload them to your Google Drive, you can click right on the file and it will just play it for you. Okay, it does the same thing with audio clips. And with images, let me find an image. It will just open up any image in there in the viewer. And then it actually scrolls you through the rest of the images if you need them, if you want to preview them. So it kind of becomes like an image browser for you and lets you do that. So you can actually create entire folders of images if you want to scroll through and use them. Now I'm going to do very quickly. I want to explain add-ons, and they're down here. So if I go to more, you'll see I have these extra things in here. See this thing, Pixlr Editor? Absolutely love it. It's a great photo editor, and it enables me to take a JPEG image right from here and open it up in that editor. I'll demonstrate that in a second. But I want to show you how I got such a thing. If you go to more and you scroll all the way to the bottom to connect more apps, it will open you up into all the available applications that have been developed that work with Google Drive. And it explains what all of them are. If you mouse over any of them, it usually opens up into a little thing that gives you an explanation, and this will augment the capabilities of your Google Drive enormously. Okay, when you want to add one of them, let me see if there's anything to add here. I don't know what this does. I'm just going to add it anyway. I'll just put that into my Google Drive, and it will now appear in that area where, here, let me see here. If I go to more, it should be in here. There it is, ClassFlow. You see that? Okay, so that's how that got in there. So now let's say I want to open up one of these images and I want to edit it. Well, what I've connected is Pixlr, which is a free online photo editing app that works very much like Adobe Photoshop. Now, if I go to this file and do to open with, look, it gives me my add-ons to open to. So look, I'll open up into the Pixlr editor, and sorry, but something went wrong. Well, most of the time something doesn't go wrong, and you can get in there and it will open it up into that editor. So you know these add-ons augment your capabilities of Drive enormously, and you can get add-ons for specific things. You know, Docs has its own set of add-ons, Slides has its own set of add-ons, and so forth. And as we go through some of these other webinars, I will be talking about some of those. So we've got roughly 10 minutes left. I'd like to open up to some questions if anybody has them. And if not, I'll just keep talking or something, you know. Any questions out there?
So if you have any questions, you can use your mic if it's operational and ask your questions that way. If you don't have access to a mic, you can type your question on the chat.
Faisal, do you have any questions?
If I have any questions, Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah, my question is, does anyone has a question?
Yes, I have a question. This is
Okay.
Mike McGarvey.
Oh, Mike. Hey, Mike.
Hey,
I didn't know you were on.
I got on late. I had
Oh,
trouble
okay.
getting on. But anyway, um, I I had a question about the shared documents, which is that you you said that anyone that had access, who you've created a link with, just like in Dropbox,
Right.
they can go into that folder. Can they, for example, let's say if I make a folder for students, can they delete stuff out of
Only
there?
if you give privileges to that folder. So let me see if I can demo that. Hold on. So let me go to my drive and let me click on a folder. And here, what's this AT? That's so I'll go to share and see this the little pencil.
Hmm.
Okay, this I should have shown this when I was sharing the folder. So I'm glad you asked that question. Uh, can organize, add, and edit, or can view only.
Got
Now,
it.
here's how that works. You're talking about sharing this with students. If you give them can view only, they will still be able to make a copy of it to their drive. They just won't be working off of your copy from the drive.
Got it.
Okay. Now, if you, this gets more complicated, but if you make the actual document editable by the students, you can put it in that folder shared with the students, make it view only, but then make that particular document shareable with all the, or editable by all the students. For instance, maybe you wanted to create a spreadsheet that a bunch of students could contribute to with research or something
Hmm.
like that. Then you could do it that way. I know it sounds a little confusing, but it can all be done. So that was a good question. Yes. So if you do this can view only, that pretty much makes it so they can only get to the documents. Okay.
Got
So by the way, when a document is shared with you, and let me see if there's one shared with me by somebody who I think here this might be a good one. This is a fellow Google trainer that created something on add-ons. Now let me open this up and let me see what kind of privileges she's given me. Okay, look at this. Do you see? This is view only.
it. Hmm.
Okay, that means I can't do anything to this. Well, if she shared this with me, so I might be able to use it as a starting point for my own workshop, and I might want to edit it, to do my own stuff with it. Even though I can't edit hers, I can go to File and make a copy. See that? If I
Hmm.
do make a copy, now I've got my own copy of that, and I can edit away. Hers stays untouched, and I get to do anything I want with this one. So that's the kind of thing that you can use. Now, if you're using Google Classroom and you share a document with a student, it will you have an option right in Google Classroom to force them to make a copy, which is wonderful because then you can like create like maybe a worksheet that each student fills out, and you always have the one bonehead student that fills out the original one instead of making their own. This bonehead proofs it. So you can you can make it so that they each get their own copy and then they submit their own copy to you. That's a subject for another day, but just an overview of that. Okay, so that was a good question. Anybody else?
Thanks.
Did that answer your question, by the
Yes,
way?
it did.
Okay, cool. I'll
Thanks.
see you tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Mike's one of my Stockton friends here. Any other questions? Come on, I know you want to ask them. Here's one, Dorothy. Hello? I think we lost her. Hello? Hi. I can barely hear you. Hello? Yes, your voice is very faint. I can barely hear you. Could you put it in the chat, please? Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. You're a phone caller. Okay, I'll try to hear you as best I can. Go ahead.
I don't have questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you did. Okay. Well, that works out well. All right. Anybody else? We're kind of almost done here.
If no one else has any questions, I had a question about the interface of this conference.
Okay.
So you said that Faisal wanted your image in here, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
never
I
saw
didn't.
it.
Wait. Here, hold on. Here it is. There you go.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so
Now,
what you click the camera? You click the camera in the little Go Training control panel?
right. But I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you have that
All right, I'll
capability.
try it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, you do.
if you have a webcam, you certainly have the capability of displaying.
So you're at your kitchen table.
I am. I was going to
Okay.
use the bathtub, but I just figured
I
out.
recognize the buffet. Okay. Okay.
So does anyone else have a question?
I
Don't be
just had one.
afraid to ask questions. All questions are important. Even after the webinar has ended, Phil will put in his email address so that you can actually email him with your question and he will be able
Yes.
to answer if he can.
Just identify yourself as one of those who attended this webinar, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the chat, and this first thing I'm going to put in, hold on, it's going to be for everybody. This will be the link to the presentation. And the next thing I'm going to put in
Oh, okay, good.
is my email address. So everybody can have that. So take those down. If you click the link, you can just bookmark it or whatever. And that's it. Unless you have more questions. Are you sure nobody else has another question here?
I'm sorry. I have one more question.
No, that's good. You're the only one asking them.
It's probably not a Google Suite thing, or maybe it is. But when I was trying some of the things you were doing in a separate window,
Right.
for some reason the new what you call it, the new. So, for example, if I made a new document or tried one of these other programs, it didn't come in. It didn't come in as a tab. It just
How did
always
it come in?
created a new. It came in as a new window.
Okay, that might be a preference on your actual browser itself.
Okay. All right,
Because
that's
some
fine.
browsers you can set do you want your preference to be tab or new window, like
Okay.
as a default? So it could have just been that.
Got it.
What browser were you using?
Firefox.
Okay, that would make sense. In general,
Uh-huh.
you can use other browsers for this stuff, but Chrome will give you the best
Okay.
experience because it's native. You know, the applications are native to the Chrome environment. And I think when you get to like Google Sites, you can't even do it unless you're using Chrome.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll definitely switch.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You know, I have to spread the gospel of Google. It's my duty as a Google trainer. So I vowed. I took a vow. Okay.
But what you're saying is true, right?
Everything I say is true. Yeah, I'm just trying to get everybody indoctrinated into the cult. So that's it. Any other questions, everybody? Well, thank you for joining us on our. Oh wait, I thought I heard somebody trying to ask something.
It was me, Phil. I was actually
Oh.
coming in.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll let you say a little goodbye yourself, Faisal, as the administrator of this. Thank you for joining us. This was my first webinar, and I hope something you walk away with is good. And sign up for the other ones because This one's the most boring of all of them.
Yeah, I would also like to thank you for participating. I know we had a few people that registered for this webinar, about 20 of you, and most of them don't show up to webinars like this, possibly because they forget, even though we send reminders. However, I hope that this was informational to you. I understand that it may have, for those of you who are beginners to Google Drive or anything Google, it may have gone a little too fast and you probably wanted at a slower pace. But you can please indicate that when you write an email to Phil, tell him that you would like you are participating in future webinars and you would like to see the webinar go at a slower pace. We can definitely accommodate those requests. All right. Thank you very much, and you have a great evening. I will, by the way, put the recording together and I will make it available and notify you where it can be found for those of you who participated today. Thank you and have a nice evening.
Great.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks.